Hey, team players, and welcome back. Today is so going to be exciting. Underdog just released a new contest, just rookies and sophomores. It's going to be a four-person super fast draft. We want to give you guys a chance to see that. And the main feast of today is going to be an eliminator that Bob and I are both going to do together. So get ready. It's going to be a fun, exciting show. New math to break down, new everything. Let's have some fun.
And clicking anything. That's my objective. Right now, you're the clicker. You're in charge. So this is a new contest, Joe. You're very laggy right now. I don't know what's going on with your computer. What's up, Jamie? How's it going, man? So Joe and I are pretty excited here for what we're about to bring out today. And Jamie, this is kind of like right in your wheelhouse too. So Underdog just released a really interesting contest that just came out. I think it was yesterday, actually. Rookies and sophomores. So this is a four-man draft.
Yeah, it was.
Four-man draft in Underdog, where all your objective is to draft rookies and sophomores. It's a 12 round draft, and I think it's really unique in regards to many different things. So in this setup, guys, if you're entering this contest, I think it's going to have a decent payoff in the end for most people, because it's when you're in it, you have a 14 pod you got to get out of, and then the finals, I think about like 200 people. So you can treat this in a lot of different ways. So essentially speaking, the first 8 rounds are going to encompass basically the same players, right? So, the same quarterbacks are going to be drafted, the same top-end running back, top-end wide receivers are going to get drafted. Now, where I think that this plays a little bit differently and might play into some people's hands is getting that value on a rookie or getting that value on a rising sophomore in round 9, 10, 11, or 12. Because essentially speaking, you should already have, because of the way this is set up, this contest, 1 quarterback starting, 2 wide receivers starting, 1 running back starting, and 1 flex. You don't need a lot. And it's a wide receiver tight end flex. So you could start all tight ends. You could start all wide receivers. It really doesn't matter. So when you look at everything, you're only starting 5 players. And those 5 players are, more often than not going to be the guys that are going to probably be hitting your lineup here. But I think where you want to get at in this tournament, Joe, I know you're having some technical difficulties there, but where I think we want to get at in this tournament is when we're going past round 9 is to focus on some guys that maybe are being lightly drafted in these tournaments. You'll know that, with all the news with Judkins, that Dylan Sampson's going to be climbing up in tournaments like this. You're going to see, the likes of maybe taking a pick like Ollie Gordon a little bit later, Kyle Manungai, guys that might have a prominent role on an offense if players were to go down that might not be drafted because their ADP currently doesn't suggest that they should be drafted. So where I'm looking at here, Joe, is sucking in some of that value there and building teams, at least in my, in my way of building teams that are relatively unique-ish coming after pick 8, pick 9. So, going after guys like DJ Giddens if Taylor were to go down, or going after guys, like I said, like Ollie Gordon, or maybe adding in a rookie wide receiver that maybe isn't getting a lot of press right now, but has a good framework to get into the future, like Isaac Tesla, who's not getting drafted currently. So your draft here is definitely a bit more unique, and my head's in the way of everybody seeing kind of what's going on here. But you can see from this draft, being a 4-man draft, the payout, like I said, the top prize is 20 grand. And it's a $5 buy-in, so it's not, it's not crazy. These go really, really fast. It's filled 34% right now. A total of 44,800 entrants are in this tournament. So it's 1 out of 4, 1 out of 8, and 1 out of 7 with the 200-seat final. So getting out of your 1 out of 4 pot is going to be really interesting. But then where that uniqueness needs to settle in is that more than likely the guy with Jane Daniels could be getting out of your pod. So you're going to be seeing potentially a lot of Jane Daniels. So maybe like a Jane Daniels Tyler Shook might get you more than a Jane Daniels Michael Penix. It's all, like a kind of like almost like a battle royale in a way. As you can see, Joe's just steaming through the 6th round already. These are really fun contests that just came out. What's happening, Magic? Building in some quarterback value in the middle rounds here. You don't have to go after Daniels and Nix because it does play you out of potentially a high-end, double high-end player as you might need to go in this tournament. Coming back around here, 7th round, you're getting those high-profile rookies, decently high-profile sophomores, right? And when you look at this draft in particular, and this is speaking to all, all the dynasty people out there that have their fingers on the trigger in regards to dynasty and looking at player capital, in a draft that I did recently, Joe, the 9th round, 10th round, 11th round, 12th round had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 running backs taken. Bashal Tootin, Ray Davis, Trey Benson, Scadaboo, Blue, Garendo, Wright, Allen, Sampson, and Manungai. All those guys, if they're on the right team, maybe that pays off, right? I've been seeing a lot of in this tournament specifically. Again, it's a very unique tournament, and the same players are going to be drafted. Pretty much the top 8 rounds are going to be the same guys almost all the time. But I've seen a lot of Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Xavier Worthy. So if you are building Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Xavier Worthy in this tournament specifically, you want to kind of step away from that maybe a few times and build something different. I've seen a lot of Brock Bowers and Bucky Irving. And where are you going to get?
I might have misclicked this, but Underdogs just put up a warning before I clicked Judkins that says, he just got arrested, right?
Yeah, and like we were saying on Monday, we're looking at a guy like Judkins who may not sign. He may not get signed by the Browns, and even if he does get signed by the Browns, he might be put on paid leave until this whole thing is figured out. In this tournament, it's only rookies and sophomores. So only rookies and sophomores in this tournament, so no access to Jerome Ford in this tournament. But this is why I like Dylan Sampson. But also, if you are in the right spot, and I think, like I said on Monday about the Eliminator, right? If you are in the right spot, it might be a good time to just take a couple of chances here and there on Judkins, because we looked at this at the end of the episode on Monday, where your value on him is just going to continue to get lower, right? So he went from a 6th round guy to a 7th round guy to an 8th round guy. I think more so often than not, right now, probably in Best Ball Mania, people are still probably trying to scoop him up 9th, 10th round if he's there. The value could still be there if whatever punishment is going to be settled down on him is skewed off until next year. Now, if it's criminal and that is pushed through this year, it could be not great in terms of fantasy value. But again, I'm willing to take some chances on him right now because his value is going down rather than up, and there's a potential that if this does clear in a way that does positively affect fantasy football, that it might be okay, an okay buy. So Jamie said Judkins' case will take several months to a year to resolve, so he might not even get suspended this season. The question here, though, Jamie, is the suspension might not come, but also he might not.
It looked like Ray Rice. They'll suspend it beforehand.
So here's the thing, Joe. He might not get signed. So there's a chance that because he's not already signed, if they do sign him, they've already had a domestic violence issue with a rookie last year. So if they do sign him this year, there is a very strong case that
but Cleveland can't do anything about it.
What I've been hearing,
Cleveland can't pull it off from the table.
Joe, I'm not legal information. I'm not anything like that. But from here's what I read. Here's what I heard. I heard that the people in question, that Judkins and his girlfriend at the time, they got into an argument, fighting happened, and she didn't report it because she thought that they could work it out. And so there's a lot of maybe some gray area in there that the NFL might say, oh, well, you know, I don't know. Again, I'm not, you know, giving anything to say that this is cut and dry or anything, but I'm just saying in terms of the value that you're getting on Judkins right now, Joe, like scroll down to where you got him in this rookies and sophomores draft, right? In this rookies and sophomores draft, he's going in the 8th, 9th round. And he is a potential guy that if he plays, he could be a starter. So I think that in certain cases of Best Ball Mania, in the puppy contest, that if you can capture that falling value, even though he's not a good person, you know, for doing what he did, the falling value there is enough to jump on it. And Jamie said here, if he doesn't sign, then he can go back to playing college and enter the draft again next season. And the Browns,
Jamie, he cannot go back to college.
You can't.
You 100% cannot do that.
Yeah.
As soon as you declare for the NFL draft, you cannot go back to college.
No, Shamar Stewart's trying to do it.
You can't.
If you didn't hear, Joe, he's looking for a waiver.
You can't. The NCAA does not allow that.
I mean, Maurice Claret and all. I mean, there have been cases in the past where they've tried it. Maybe
Claret was the other way. Claret wasn't smart enough to stay in college. Once you declare for the NFL or any public league, you cannot go back to college.
I'm going to look that up right now.
It is the law. At any rate, Bob, do you want to do an eliminator or a super flex?
Let's do an eliminator. We're going to rack up an eliminator here. Yeah, no, once a college player declares.
Right, so we're going to rack up an eliminator. We're going to start this at 4:11 Eastern. 4:11 Eastern on this eliminator we're about to do.
But the rookies and sophomores is a fun thing, Joe. It's a fun click. It literally took you less than 8 minutes to do.
It is. It was fun.
It did.
I wish that the internet would have been a little nicer during it.
Yeah. So Jamie, as I'm looking here,
we're gonna fire up this eliminator, y'all.
4:11. Once I'm looking here at a couple of different things, especially just at the Shamar Stewart. So if you're a Division I athlete with remaining eligibility, Joe, I'm going to look this up after we click on 4:11. All right, I'm in. So it says here that any college football player who participated in or who would have participated in his 4th season of full-time eligibility during the 2023 season will be deemed to be automatically eligible for the draft. Am I allowed to enter the draft early? Yes. May I request information about the draft? Again, this is a memorandum from NCAA that I'm going through right here. Am I allowed to participate in the NFL Combine and maintain my eligibility? No. The NFL Combine occurs from February to March, which is after the deadline from withdrawing from the draft. Only student athletes who have committed to entering the NFL draft can participate in the Combine. Can I participate in on-campus pro day?
Which is the answer. You committed to be in the draft. You can't go back to college. Just because daddy ruined your career doesn't mean Shador gets a restart.
Yeah, did Bo do something like that, Bo Jackson?
No. Bo Jackson got screwed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that they said to him, they lied to him and told him that if he accepts the signing bonus, he could still play in the College World Series. The second he accepted that money, he was ineligible to play in the College World Series. They went out, they took him from Omaha, and he wasn't allowed to participate in it. At that moment, he basically said, screw everything with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who drafted him then first in the upcoming draft thereafter. He never played for that Tampa. He went and signed the 30-year contract from the Royals as a third-round draft pick. He then, in that following offseason, an entire year of no football in his life, told Al Davis, I'll come back to the NFL as long as it's not for Tampa Bay. Al Davis drafted him in the 7th round, and hence the legend of Bo Jackson.
So Jamie, in regards to,
by the way, we got 8 more people to fill up this eliminator, guys. Jump in this eliminator. Jump on in it.
In regards to this comment here, even if, so he does have an agent. So that's like the other team. So he does have an agent, which I believe does make him ineligible to go back. Definitely does make him ineligible to go back to college. But also, here's the thing:
the draft, this is true for Shador and Judkins. So as soon as he was in the draft, he's ineligible to go back.
Here's the thing about Judkins, though, is that even if he could go back to college, I don't think anybody would want him because he's already dealing with all of the legal stuff that he's dealing with right now. And it's already, basically been confirmed that he did commit what he did. So, I mean, it's like, it doesn't seem to make any sense for anybody if he were to go back to college to do something like that. If you get what I'm saying, like I'm not seeing a pathway for, unless he signs, like he has to sign with the Browns. If he doesn't sign with the Browns, he's not.
There is no way the NFL is going to let him re-enter the draft in terms of Showdown.
Well, Showdown is different than Judkins, but I can see.
So the pathway for Judkins is this. Yeah.
Where would Bo Jackson
Judkins is holding out to try to get a fully guaranteed contract. Bo Jackson would be a second-round pick or first-round pick all day, every day.
Bo is an elite level talent when he came out. Joe, we got 7 people left to fill this eliminator. So anybody in the chat right now that wants to fill up this eliminator with us, come join us. We're on Underdog right now, filling up an eliminator.
Please do.
We'll give it another 5 minutes until about 4:20. If it doesn't fill up, we'll head down to a super flex. 6 people left there. But here's the other thing too, Joe. When we look at guys that are extremely talented, and we see, especially like guys like Judkins or going back to Ray Rice, and we've talked about guys like Jamison Williams as well. When we're looking at like a player in terms of fantasy football, and then we have to take into account legal troubles. I know we were talking with King on Monday about like where do you even, like, if you already have Judkins on your roster and you're in a dynasty league, what do you do with them? Do you hold them? Do you keep them? Do you trade them? Because right now, what we're seeing from trades and what we're seeing from as a value standpoint is people are trying to get Judkins from Malik Washington and a pick.
The long story is you have to keep them. You're not going to get anything.
Yeah, I just feel like, especially in these best ball tournaments, I'm willing to take chances on Judkins. But like if I'm in a dynasty league or a long-standing league or even a redraft league, I've got my eyes set on Dylan Sampson. And Jerome Ford is back in the equation now, Joe. He was one of those guys that kind of was a cast-off for us for a bit of time, but he's back in the equation, and his ADP is rising. It's reflecting the problems that Judkins has. I'm just going to kind of pull up these for you so you can see. So this is kind of super revealing to what we're talking about, Joe. I'm going to put my screen up here so you can see what I'm talking about here. So what we're looking at here is kind of is what happens during what we talked about on Monday. What happens during when stories break? What happens to players? What happens to the value of players? And again, this is an eliminator. So eliminator is going to be a little bit different than Best Ball Mania. Is going to be a little bit different than a couple of those other tournaments that we've been entering. But I'll answer that question in a second, Magic. So when we look at guys like Ford, Sampson, and Judkins now, his value has continued to drop. So he was around 77, I believe, on Monday. He's now down to 86. And again, this is an eliminator, so it's a little bit different. Sampson has risen. He was around like 190. He's up to 172. Jerome Ford is the guy that hasn't risen a lot now.
Jerome Ford should never be in the conversation. He's not making the team.
But again, value-wise, pick 183 for a guy that could potentially be a starter who has been a starter in the league before is interesting. Taking a look at the whole Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall debate. Juwan Jennings, again, this is the eliminator, so it's a little bit different. George Kittle sitting around 40. I saw him get taken in the 3rd round on Monday when we were after you left, Joe. Juwan Jennings sitting at 60, Ricky Pearsall sitting at 77. So a little bit of some disparity between what's happening there as well. And I just think it's really interesting to think about it. And Terrence, when it comes to Bo Jackson, I mean, if I had the ability to take him in the second round, third round, and you had a talent like that, I mean, Bo Jackson, elite talent across the board. I haven't seen who is the last player that you think could be a multi-sport athlete in the capacity that Bo Jackson is? And I don't think you can say that there's anybody out there right now that probably could do that.
If Mahomes will stuck with baseball.
Mahomes could be interesting with baseball. So, Magic, here's the thing. 2 players, both much maligned, so we're ready rocking with this tournament. So, Eliminator's up. I'm 5, Joe's 7. Let's rock this out. Is anybody here in the chat? I don't see anybody that's usually here. So let's rock this. But Magic, in terms of answering this question specifically, Caleb Johnson or Swift, I think you have to take it with 2 kind of mindsets, right? Is yes, when Arthur Smith was the coach of the Falcons, there was a weird rookie split between Bijan and Algier, and Algier had one of his best seasons.
Hey, Bob, time out. I just need to interrupt you here real quick. This is standard one quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, a flex, right?
I believe so, yes.
Standard roster. Okay.
Standard. Yeah, your standard roster. It's just not it's just showing weirdly on my screen right now. So that it's a standard roster. So when we look at Arthur Smith was a head coach at the time. So he had basically, the control of what happened on that team. And when you look at a guy like Mike Tomlin, who has basically for his career stated that, he wants to run the ball. He also wants to pass the ball, but he wants to mainly run the ball. He wants to give the rock to his players. I don't think that Arthur Smith will override the ultimate decision that Mike Tomlin will have on this roster of saying that Caleb Johnson by midseason is probably going to get the majority of the snaps if he looks good. And the question is, will he look good? And I think that when we look at Caleb Johnson, he has the capacity to do really, really well in this league. And the question for me would be, when do I see that split happening, Magic? Do I see that split being like 60-40, and then as it goes to the mid-year, Warren gets a little bit less and he just goes back to his ways of getting, like 20 touches again? Because remember, we broke this down. The Steelers are one of those teams that ran the ball at a good pace last year. We're looking at the teams that were above them in terms of rushing attempts last year were Green Bay, Detroit, Washington, Baltimore, and Philly. So the Steelers were running the ball 30 times a game last year. So if that means that Caleb Johnson gets 18 touches in the run game and Jaylen Warren gets more at the beginning of the season than he would towards the end of the season, fine. But I think that Caleb Johnson's value right now is really good. You're getting him in the 6th round. And I'm totally okay with that. DeAndre Swift.
I love this guy on the turn getting Puka and Neighbors.
In terms of DeAndre Swift, I've never really felt like DeAndre Swift. I know he is a talented enough running back. He's gotten 1,000-yard seasons before. I struggle with some efficiency metrics for him, Magic. And yes, the Bears have gotten better in terms of their offensive line. But I think I would still take Caleb Johnson over Swift if given the opportunity to in a redraft league. In best ball, I'm willing to take a share of both. I don't mind having both on my team in the slightest. All right, we're gonna
interesting draft so far, pushing these running backs high.
But I mean, in the Eliminator, you want to manufacture some guaranteed touches there out of running backs.
Oh, I get it.
And Magic, in terms of Aaron Jones, I have them ranked really closely. So when I look at a guy like Aaron Jones, Caleb Johnson are both going to be what we think are split situations. Coaching staff is telling everybody Mason is going to get some more goal line work, but Aaron Jones never realistically on the Vikings got enough goal line work to make that relevant. So I feel that when it comes to Aaron Jones, that I think the only thing that I'm looking at there in terms of him is just his health history. Caleb Johnson and Swift have, especially, being a rookie coming in the league, Aaron Jones is a little bit older, but he has more issues in terms of, health in general. So the question is, will he be healthy enough as the season goes on to stave away anything that, what's good, Bones? Anything that Jordan Mason has, because the efficiency metrics on Jordan Mason are really good. So if Aaron Jones goes down for 1 or 2 games, there's a chance that maybe Mason, if healthy, could usurp a larger share of the touches. So I put all of these guys, Caleb Johnson, DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones, into the same conversation. And I would take this chance on all of these guys in best ball. I've taken more chances on Aaron Jones and Caleb Johnson. But if I had like one chance to get it right in redraft, I am probably going to rank them as like Aaron Jones, Caleb Johnson, and then Swift, with maybe that coming a little bit differently, towards the back end of the off season here. Jaden Daniels, Joe, 31. Securing yourself a nice.
I need to have an elite quarterback for Survivor, because Survivor is, if you guys all know it, when it's like when you go into a lineup against a stacked quarterback and how much that feeling sucks. I am even more so in Eliminator, all in on a big quarterback, and quite frankly, I was going to stack him with Hurts had he come back to me.
Wow.
So that's
Terrence, what's
I believe Eliminator is a different animal to me.
What's your tag, Terrence? Bones, how far outside of tier 1, 2 would you put Bucky? I would. He's in tier
Bucky
2.
Is my one of ones.
So he's in tier 2 for me. So after Bijan and Gibbs and Saquon go off the board,
running back.
After Bijan, Gibbs, and Saquon go off the board, the next tier for me consists of it basically in this order that I think they're going to do well in is Bucky, Achane, Henry, Taylor, McCaffrey, and Genty. That's like kind of where I'm at there. McCaffrey only because of the injury. Genty, I'm just not super confident in him just realistically usurping all of the carry, like not all the carries, but all of the like perceived touchdowns there in Vegas. I'm really high on Achane right now. I'm really high on Bucky. I think that both of those guys have supreme 30-point upside. Bucky is definitely over JT for me, and definitely over. I could get him over Derrick Henry in many, in my mind as well. So going a little risky here. I don't have a wide receiver yet.
That is risky.
I'm okay with that. All right, sweet Jamie. Terrence is T-Bear. So he's got the number 1 pick. I love the Lamar pick, Terrence.
Yeah, really me too. I love that a lot. I was really hoping he'd come to me.
Yeah, I was likewise really hoping. Bones, what's your rankings? What do your rankings look like when you think of, tier 1 and tier 2? How do you like Henry, Ashton Genty, and Christian McCaffrey? Remember, guys, we're doing an eliminator here, which is a little bit different. You're seeing a lot of
lose your odds. One-on-one battle the entire year.
You're seeing a lot of the higher end running backs go really more quickly than they would in a typical league. And a lot of the distribution of wide receivers a little bit more so, split out. That's why I went 3 running backs there. Losing out on Devontae Adams, I'm a little disappointed in that. But I think that there's some decent talent here still left.
Got quiet on me, Bob.
No. I'm just thinking. I'm honestly just thinking about who I want. I think I'm going to secure the guy that I thought about Burrow, but I knew you
were clicking Ridley. As soon as I saw Ridley's name was still on the board, I was like, "He's going to click Ridley."
Well, here's the thing. Like he might just be a catastrophic pick here in the 5th round for me. But when I look at Calvin Ridley, and we talked about all the metrics in terms of passing attempts that are open there in Tennessee, that if the passer can be more efficient and give him more opportunities to catch touchdowns, this 5th round of wide receivers, Calvin Ridley could usurp over DJ Moore and players like that. I think that he's still a really talented guy. It's just kind of, to me, at that point, I didn't give myself, we were talking about this on Monday, I didn't give myself a lot of flexibility because I took a Trey McBride there. And I think that going Trey
let me
McBride,
answer your question in terms of stacks for this contest, because it's a pressing question and you're about to be on the clock. I personally believe stacks are less important because it's a one-on-one showdown and it's more important to get the absolute best value than worrying about the stack. Stacks come into play more when you're playing a lot of people at the end and you're basically doing a DFS style and you need to extract every single ounce. In this, it's more about a high floor. It's always been the way I take on the survivor pools. Have the highest floor so you never get that week that you can get kicked out. So in that regard, stacks are less important to me.
Yeah, I mean, in this tournament, I think that stacks, people are still going to capture some stacks.
People are pushing up running backs.
But here's the problem with the stacks in here is that, if that team has one bad game, you're out potentially. Yep. So I think that people want to spread the board a little bit more. You might see more correlations because, again, if you make it to week 14, you're getting paid out 10 grand. Okay. And that's just
fell that far. Wow.
Yeah, I wanted him coming back. That's why I waited on him, because I figured the run on wide receivers would go, and I got a little bit hesitant in the wide receiver room. All right. But in terms of this question, Magic, yeah, you know me, Terrence. You've been watching our show for a while. I hated Ridley last year, and that was mainly because of Will Levis. Mayonnaise couldn't get him the ball, but the fact of the matter remains is that he's still a talented player. And I can't get around not taking him in most drafts. I've been pumping the brakes a bit, but I think he's a talent. I love Chris Godwin pick. The only thing in Eliminator which worries me about Chris Godwin is the fact that Tristan Wirfs is not going to be playing, I believe, the first 4 games of the season. And that is a big –
I worry about Godwin not starting the season. That's him being one of your starters. That's a concern, Bones. If he was your number 4, I'd been all about it.
That's Terrence. But Magic, in terms of this question here, let me get my next pick in here. We're either going one of these two. I want to see how far Judkins goes. That's kind of where I'm trying to beat down at. All right.
Now you took Jacoby. Now I'm not.
We got a decent team happening here. So Magic asks, has there been more running backs or wide receivers that finished in the top 10 in PPR? Like, would you say it's more wide receiver running back dominant now? So, just going over the fantasy pros and just taking weeks 1 through 17. I'm seeing here just Jamar Chase is number 1, Jahmyr Gibbs number 2. And in order to, Jamar was at 403 points last year in PPR, and Gibbs was 40 points behind him. Let me do my login here so I can see what's going on. Why isn't it not letting me continue with Google? Why isn't it letting me see what I want to see? Let's see. Let's open this up again. All right, here we go. So we go.
Because I got the big board on the screen.
Yeah, we go Jamar, Jahmyr, Saquon, Bijan, Derrick Henry. So that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we had Justin Jefferson at 6, Amon-Ra at 7. Devin Achane was the 8th highest non-quarterback out of scoring last year through week 18. Then Josh Jacobs, and then BTJ. So your top 10 was, decently balanced, Joe, for all things considering. BTJ, Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar. So that's 4. So it's 6-4. So 6 running backs, 4 wide receivers. So I think that in this tournament specifically, and we've talked about the value of this tournament too, Joe, is that when you look at it, when you look at a tournament like this, you want players with good floors and you want players with high enough ceilings, because there's a chance, say you make it out of week 1, there's a chance you might go against a guy, and this is like in those playoff leagues, right? You might go against a guy who doesn't have anybody, right? Who doesn't have anybody.
Well, it doesn't happen in week 1, but it could happen in the bye week season.
It can absolutely happen. And I know Jordan Addison might not play. Oh, that's a hard click. I'm going to click Kyler Murray, I think. So there's chances to take in this tournament. And I think that we have to play it smart when it comes to Eliminator, Joe. Taking teams
on the floor.
Taking teams that are going to have decent enough beginning of the year schedules. There goes Jordan Addison there to King MJB. That have decent enough beginning of the year schedules to kind of capitalize on this. I went Kyler Murray because the first 3 games are New Orleans, Carolina, and San Francisco. I think that that's a good opportunity for Arizona to at least get me out of week 1. So let's get through a couple other of these questions here, and then I can focus on the back end here. Look at all those quarterbacks that just went there, Joe. So yeah, Barkley and Lamar are definitely shock absorbers here, and hopefully Hill can get you that 20+ point upside that he's capable of. I really like the idea of Joe Mixon and James Conner there, Terrence, to be honest with you, because they're going to have enough volume to begin the season. And again, like I said about Kyler Murray, like there's enough volume there to be like, hey, like this is probably going to be good for them. There goes Judkins for sure. All right. So the question is, do I want either of these two? I'm going to take Pittman. I need another wide receiver there. So in this tournament, depending on where you're drafting, particularly in this tournament, it's important to go after running backs. But if you are sitting there with, your redraft league, I absolutely don't see an issue with going a high-end wide receiver, building in some of that quarterback upside with Lamar, Jaden Daniels, and then let's face it, guys, there's a good chance that from Chris Godwin here to Jaden Higgins, that a couple of these guys are going to make your starting lineup here and there over guys like maybe DK Metcalf. Maybe Tet has some growing pains to start the season. I think it's going to be interesting to see how some of those wide receivers play out. And Bones, how important would you guys say stacks are in redraft? They're not important whatsoever. I've been doing redraft leagues for 20, maybe almost.
No, in redrafts, they don't matter.
Almost 20.
Redrafts is a format years? Like this. No, stacks matter when you got to beat many. But an eliminator and a redraft are very similar.
Yeah, I've been doing redraft leagues for 29 years, and around there, and I see no value in stacking unless it's like a very subtle stack, like a quarterback with a tight end or a quarterback with a wide receiver, and then nothing else from that. Correlations can play a role, I think, when we look at things like that, but I'm absolutely not like pushing for super stacks in this tournament specifically. We'll see what Joe does here.
You know what I'm doing? I saw that blue and had a heart attack. I thought one of my guy was getting taken.
Oh man. You thought
so now I feel I have confidence in at least 2 positions with 95% of the league. If I come in with Hawkinson and Njoku, I'll have a tight end position available, an advantage, and I will have a quarterback advantage with Daniels.
Yeah,
and that's how you guys build these.
I got a lot of
advantage week in, week out.
Week 8, I got a lot of week 8. I gotta help out with here. And yeah, I like Trevion. If you have Trevion as an RB2, I'm not upset by that whatsoever, because having Trevion as an RB2 basically means that your wide receiver room or your tight end room or your quarterback room has an advantage over other people. And if you're, say you get Gibbs and then you take McBride and Josh Allen and, I don't know, DJ Moore and Devonta Smith, and then you take Trevion Henderson, you have an advantage almost in 3 categories. So, in my mind, I don't really see it as an issue to push and say like, oh, it's a bad idea to go after a guy like Trevion Henderson. The value's there. It makes a lot of sense. To do something like that. Chicago and Baltimore. That's gross. All right, we're gonna take Jordan Love. Who do they have week 5? Who's Arizona play week 5? Okay, Tennessee. All right, that's nice. All right. So down, particularly down the stretch, I think going with a guy like Trevion or going with a guy like Tet, although Tet's value for me, I think it's going to be pumped back a little bit in redraft leagues, to say the least. But I do think in best ball, his value is a little bit higher than it will be in redraft leagues. I know he's the number 1 in Carolina right now, but I can't see in a redraft league people taking Tet over, Kamara or Ken Walker or Chuba or Amarian Hampton, especially in a lot of home leagues. We'll see, but it's definitely a steal to get Trevion Henderson, especially, here. 6th round, Joe. It's a great pick in the 6th round, especially in a tournament like this. Where
I don't think it's a good pick for a tournament like this, but I think it's a good pick for your standard one.
He has Brees and Ken Walker to carry him through a couple of the first weeks there.
That's why it's fine. But him as a standalone value, he's not going to start getting the rock till after Halloween in significant volume.
And
that's why
he's
a better pick for the regular ones, the million.
Let's not get this twisted. Yeah, Ramondre has played like ass for sure. But I am absolutely willing at his current price tag to buy into more Ramondre at his value, just as things go, right? Like I want to get a piece of him here or there. I don't need a lot, but I do want to get a piece of him here or there. Here goes your boy. You just took your boy.
I don't think he was getting past you twice.
No.
I think you would have taken him had I not.
It is kind of slanderous, like what's happening to Trey Harris here.
No, it's not.
I feel like this I cannot comprehend, Joe, how the ADP here for Trey Harris works, because he never gets taken at his ADP. So how is his ADP still that high, and he never gets taken? Never gets taken there. Like it's crazy to me to try to find an understanding for how that actually works. Same with Kyle Williams. This is an eliminator. This one is an eliminator. At the beginning of the show, if you go back and look, we did one of the rookies and sophomores drafts. It's a 4-person buy-in for that. This eliminator is, just your typical eliminator, trying to week by week. We want to win 1 week at a time. So we'll definitely take a look at this. Terrence is the number 1 pick here. He's got Lamar, Saquon, Joe Mixon, James Conner. Love that. Tyreek, Chris Godwin, Jaden Reed, Emeka Egbuka, and Christian Kirk are all chances worth taking in a tournament like this, because they do have big boom upside. The question is, will you get out of week 1 with 2 Tampa wide receivers?
And yeah, by the way, King, we go live every time we're drafting. We come on YouTube. We're live drafting. That's what we do.
All right.
Mondays and Wednesdays, man. It'll get more in August.
Big question.
We're actually considering doing just one-off where you might only get Bob's sexy face and you don't get me, because Bob loves drafting. Bob lost his mind last night calling me up, telling me that the rookies was here. I'm in the middle of doing an NCAA, trying to knock my brother out of the playoffs. Bob's calling me up, losing his mind about this here. You got to give respect.
King, we'll definitely be doing another Best Ball Mania. do those within all the other contests. We've been doing a lot of Superflex. A new Superflex just came up, a 20 entry max Superflex just came up. The German Shepherd has a decent payout. That one's going to be fun because you can't, 150 max that. It's just 20. So that's probably going to fill decently fast. We're going to get on the boat with that. One of the reasons why we haven't hit a Best Ball Mania in a little bit is because it's filling gradually. It's not filling up too much. We'll probably get into another Best Ball Mania next week. After this draft, Joe, I do want to do a Superflex. I know you might not want to, but I'm probably.
Well, I love Superflex. I just don't think I'm going to have time to do it.
We'll see.
I love the Superflex.
Again, I like a couple of these talents down here, especially in the Eliminator, Joe. Guys like Dallas Goedert and Jake Ferguson could have a decent amount of targets in their way this year. Hunter Henry is so undervalued in terms of Eliminator spots. I know it's a half PPR, but he has a chance to pay out big at his ADP down here. Dobbs is an interesting option to start the year.
Guy, like he was on my board. He was my next.
Definitely an interesting option to start the year. People are a little bit more rookie fatigued in the Eliminator because they don't know how the rookies are going to play out week 1, week 2, week 3. So that's why a lot of these rookies are definitely falling. Grabbing value where you can will be really important. Speaking of rookies, I might grab a couple coming up here, and it really depends upon your like ability to deal with certain issues and stuff. I'm clicking Samson here a little bit above ADP because I don't know if Terrence is going to let me get Samson on the comeback. For me, Magic, it's JT. So for me, it's JT because I think I do realistically think that Jacob, while I like Jacobs, and Jacobs is a stalwart in terms of just production, I do think that there is a greater chance that the Green Bay Packers will be a bit more balanced this year than they were at the back half of last year. The coaching staff going out there, getting 2 wide receivers in the draft, not really going out and trading for any other wide receivers or going out of anything else. I do think that it's going to be a more balanced offense. And Jordan Love has proven in the past that he could put up 30-point fantasy games. As it goes to JT, JT's in a situation where nobody likes Daniel Jones. Nobody likes Anthony Richardson. What they do know is that JT can run the ball. And they've built this team so that Jonathan Taylor can run the ball. And if Jonathan Taylor is healthy, he's running the damn ball. So like I can't get around and say that, that Jacobs is a better play than JT. And I think that the ADP reflects that he isn't a better play than JT. So I think that I'm willing to take more chances on him than anybody else realistically.
Is this an 18 or 20-man draft?
I don't know. I didn't look.
18. Okay, so 4 picks left.
All right, 2 week 9 buys there. Couple of randos. Dylan Sampson, Braylon Allen, Zach Charbonnet. Hey, all I need is for Zach Charbonnet to produce week 10, week 11. I'm all right with that. I need more wide receivers though. I got 6 running backs. I need to buy into some more wide receivers. So Superflex, it really depends on how the board goes. I have done Superflex. I try to get 3 or 4. But it really depends on who you want to build your team around, right? Is there a stacking partner? Is there correlation that you want to look at? We've built teams with shitty quarterback situations. We built teams where we had two Indy quarterbacks and 2 Cleveland quarterbacks, right? Because once you get out of that top tier of Jalen Hurts and Burrow and Daniels and Lamar and Allen, you've got to try to find ways to manufacture points somewhere else. And, does your quarterback, whatever quarterback you're taking, do they have the chance to get 25 plus points? That's kind of what I'm looking at. Do you have the chance to get 25 plus points? If you have the chance to get 25 plus points, welcome to the team. If it's going to be a little bit of a struggle leading up to that as a quarterback, maybe I'm not taking you. But I do think that there's going to be some good value at quarterbacks in these because it's 20. It's a 20 max, right? So in that league, people aren't just going to take pop shots at random person because they only have 20 chances to get it right. So I think there's going to be a little bit more methodical approach to it. But definitely I want 3 to 4 quarterbacks. Ideally, I want 3 to 4 quarterbacks that two of them don't have the same bye, but that's going to be hard because by apocalypse, week 8 and week 9, there's a good amount of quarterbacks that are cheap enough that have the same bye week. So that's kind of where the struggle could be at for some people. All right. So Najee starting the camp on NFI. That's good to know. I mean, that's the reason why he kind of fell here, Joe. Looking at Najee falling all the way down to pick 118 when I think his ADP was somewhere up there. Again, Quinshon.
Well, Omari Hampton is definitely looming in the wings.
Here's the thing. If this is if Najee's missing time, there is a realistic chance that Najee won't see the field. That's
exactly it.
Because Omarion Hampton will be an elite option for this team. So, like, let's. I know we took a decent chances on Najee in the early best ball drafts, and we've been pumping the brakes on him for a significant portion of these drafts now. I think it's just going to be really important to keep your eye on that situation because Omarion Hampton, like Joe said in the early best ball formats, Omarion Hampton is going to climb up the board, right? You said that if everything went well and he landed on a good team, Joe, you could see him being drafted in round 3, somewhere, maybe even round 2 in the same veins of like James Cook. You know, you had him in that same category as James Cook. And if Najee isn't a threat at camp, there's a realistic conversation that you could have to say that Omarion Hampton's value is going to skyrocket. I think that the firework ended up, probably some sparkles or something in the eye, probably messing with a lot. But again, he's a guy that needs volume to be successful, Joe. We all know
Najee, absolutely. He also needs a fullback.
We are in Pittsburgh. We know this about Najee, and we are not gonna, paint a picture to say like this is a good thing for Najee. It's not a good thing.
It's a horrible thing for Najee.
And I think that it really opens the door for Omarion Hampton's ADP to really climb. And I think that not enough people hit like his closing line value. Omarion Hampton, again, this is the Eliminator, guys. So it's a little bit different than Best Ball Mania. But
I want to take Omar. Because I don't know if he's starting, but if I have 2 starters already, 41. Like on this team, I would have. I would have taken Omarion over. We'll go through it, but he just didn't follow me.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up a point in a moment about why I think that's kind of really important to consider. I'm trying to figure out what wide receiver I kind of want to round out this team with that I think could play. You know what? Maybe not.
I was debating with Corum, and there he goes in the very next pick.
We're going to take Jalen Naylor. So the reason I say this, and the reason I think this is important, for as you said here, family, while it's a superficial eye injury, while it could be a problem, where I think it definitely will enter into the conversation. If he's on NFI, right, as you say he is, and as the news says, there are going to be enough people, and I'm pulling out my draft board right now. There are going to be enough people that with Najee out of the picture in a run-heavy scheme that don't like Kyron Williams and that don't like James Cook and don't like Breece Hall would rather take a chance on Omarion Hampton with that news. And just for that, Omarion Hampton's value, like we talked about Jennings, like we talked about Judkins, is definitely going to have a higher closing line now than it did prior, right? Like prior to this, with Najee being healthy, his value was pretty much 4th round, right, Joe? Pretty much 4th round. You weren't going to get him. You weren't going to get him anything less than the 4th round. But when you take that, go up your draft board, Joe. When you take that now and say Najee's out, he might literally climb into the 3rd round.
We got done earlier. We're going to start up at 456. We're going to do the German Superflex at 456. Click submit.
Let's do it. We're going to do the German Shepherd, but Superflex, guys. So if you're in the chat and you want to get into a draft right now, we're going to do, Joe, let me take the sticks on this one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let me share my screen. We'll get the sticks on this one. So we're going to do a German Shepherd.
Guy is never a good day. There is no way. There's no way around that.
It actually sounds like a move that Gunter would use against Chad Gable. That's what it actually sounds like. The German Superflex. That sounds like a fantastic wrestling move. Brock Lesnar would just be breaking out the German Superflex as well. Freaking love that. But yeah, we're going to do a German Shepherd, but Superflex. 2 out of 12 advanced, so that's nice. 2 out of 10 the next round, 2 out of 12, and then 124 seat final. 10,000. So the prize is a little bit down here for a $5 entry. That's why I think the rookies and sophomores is an interesting play because it has a higher top end prize here with a similar amount of people in it, and you can go through it really quickly. All right, 456. Enter, confirm. All right, we got 6 people we're waiting for. King, I love going to pay-per-views. I think I like going to pay-per-views better than Raw. Family, you'll know that, I missed out. Like I said, I missed out on the Raw SmackDown thing here. I absolutely would recommend going to a pay-per-view. The merch is awesome. I went to Backlash, which is, a side pay-per-view basically. But if you have the opportunity to go to SummerSlam, I'd do it. It is 2 nights though. So like the 2-nighters, it depends on like how much because tickets to SummerSlam and tickets for WrestleMania tend to be like really, really, really freaking expensive.
All right, Bob, you're in the 5. I'm in the 10. Who else is in this draft with us, guys?
I don't know. Let's see. So I don't see anybody from last one. I don't see Terrence in this one. It was a good draft with Terrence too. So yeah, I would definitely recommend going to a pay-per-view. If you can get tickets and looking at the seating chart, like our arena, every seat is pretty good. But if they're doing this at the football field, I don't know. If John Cena loses to Cody Rhodes, people would lose their shit, King. It's gonna be a great, like, it's at MetLife Stadium, so I've never been to MetLife Stadium, so I don't really know. I don't really know anything about that, but if I could get a ticket under like $300, $400, I'd probably go. WrestleMania in Vegas would have been awesome. I heard they're going, Joe, WrestleMania in Vegas next year, maybe. Both the kids will be a little bit more grown, We'll
have to see. We'll have to see how we poke that one.
All right, let's see here. There goes Hurts. Well,
the 5 spot, Bob. You always talk about how much you love and hate that spot.
I hate it with the passion of 10,000 suns. Yeah, so I mean, I probably wouldn't pay $200 to sit up in the nosebleeds though. Those are where the 286 priced tickets are. I picked it just as an aside here, Joe. I know we're on a wrestling kick. Joe is not a WWE guy, but but the fact is, I actually bought my ticket that day, and I think I spent $20. I bought it like an hour before the kickoff. So I was like set. I got a great ticket. I got to see. I think it was Trish Stratus jump off a cage. It was pretty dope. See, I see no irrevocable difference here, Joe, between pick 5 and pick 10 in these super flexes.
Who does?
I think I can hear your phone buzzing. I like pick 10, like pick 8, 9, 10 in this tournament rather than pick 5, but we'll see how this shakes down.
That's because you're used to picking from pick 10. You're outside your comfort zone right now. Yeah,
I am. But King, yeah, definitely like SummerSlam tickets might go up, but like if you're close enough to MetLife Stadium, if you're close enough and you're within, a train ride or like within driving distance and it won't take you too long to get there, I think it's definitely worth it to buy tickets the day of, even like 2 hours before, if it's not going to take you a while to get there. There goes Fields. This is going to be tough. CMC still on the board. We're going to go, my boy. See, I don't like that big string of running backs or a big string of quarterbacks there, because then it's going to give all these guys an elite running back. Ugh. Why? Why do people consistently do that? It's so annoying. I feel like your combination of Jameer and Nico is just as good as Jamar and Henry, maybe even better.
They're comparable. There's no doubt about that.
And we got this guy going Josh Allen, Brock Purdy, which is gonna leave the Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts guy with Devin Achane or another elite wide receiver. It's maddening. There's no way these three go quarterback again.
I don't know, Bobby. You see it happen.
Wow.
I hear the disdain in your soul right now. Like, clean it up a little bit, man.
Clean it up. Get on the right side there. Clean it up.
Who you taking, Bob? Gotta think this one through. Oh, you took Bucky off me, you son of a bitch.
Well, I do think there's going to be some other running backs coming off the board, in the fourth round, and I don't know who's going to be there. So we're looking at pick 44 and pick 53 potentially being, Chase Brown might be there, Kyron might be there. I do think some of those go. I'm willing to pass up Drake May to get a decent running back start here with an elite wide receiver. I thought about Brock Bowers there for everything that we've said in the past about Brock Bowers. Again, these Superflex drafts are definitely interesting enough for us. We're the only two guys without a quarterback yet. But as the board flows, the value right now isn't in quarterback. The value is in some other offensive players. So I'm willing to take a little bit of a bath there. I'm probably going to take a quarterback this round, though, to be honest with you, because I do want to come out with two, and I see, just a couple of guys that I still like. I mean, look, like the whole front end of the board is still quarterbacks. Look at all these quarterbacks still on the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's more than 6 quarterbacks on the board, so I'm okay with that. When does he usually go? 52. Okay. Yeah, I knew you were taking CJ Stroud there, so that's fine.
Yeah, there's no way around it. I definitely would have taken Bucky instead of Ladd, though. Not say I don't like Ladd, just I love Bucky. He's my number 1 running back.
But I see you having 2 wide receivers there. It's a little bit unique for you, and I'm okay with that. I like that a lot.
Oh, it's definitely unique for me.
Herbie still being there is an interesting pick. I realistically never see Herbie there.
Well, Herbie normally goes well before this. I was actually debating him over Stroud. I just have Stroud ranked higher, partially because I have Collins rated so high.
Well, I mean, I'll take the falling value of Herbie. I have built no teams with Justin Herbert, so
feel it out, start it around, see how it fits.
See how that works out for me. And you can see here, the guy at 4, anybody who's drafting Superflex, the guy at 4, there's still value at running back here in the 4th round. So Chase Brown, if he was there, he would have been my pick at 44. I would have waited on whatever quarterback came to me at 53, knowing that these guys needed a quarterback as well. Most likely, I don't see 2, 3, or 4 going with a third quarterback because Matt Stafford just went off the board there. This guy at the 1 hole is really going whole hog into the Superflex mentality here. Doesn't mean you have to. Trey McBride in the 5th round.
Did you know that it will re-rank ADP for you on your queue? I did not know that. That is a beautiful find. Beautiful dogs. Beautiful dogs.
Beautiful, beautiful things. Beautiful things. So beautiful. All right. The question is, do we want to go Bryce Young or Cam Ward? Or we'll take a chance on Bryce Young there. So you got Bryce and Justin Herbert. So again, this is a super flex. I still got 2 quarterbacks coming out of the first 5 rounds. The team is stacked up with Derrick Henry, Bucky Irving, Jamar Chase. I really like that Jaden Daniels team with Christian McCaffrey and Devon Achane. I don't agree with going Geno at the 3rd as that 3rd kind of player there, especially when you don't have a wide receiver stacked up in there. But some good value falling to you, Joe, at 10. You got 3 quarterbacks here that potentially you could take. Hampton's still on the board for another running back. Mike Evans. Okay. I like the way you think.
I mean, I might be getting screwed with how much they forced him at the end of the year, and that might be throwing off the metrics on Evans.
So. But I think that's definitely throwing the metrics off a bit more than usual. To be honest with you,
I acknowledge it's possible. I do, but he's also my number 3.
That's fair. If
I'm right, home run.
Yeah. If you are right, again, Mike Evans is one of those guys that people are not willing to take as like a number 2 or number 1 all the time because they're worried about that touchdown upside value where he, basically was force-fed the ball last year at the back end of the season. But again, he hasn't had a year under 1,000 yards. He's typically getting 7 to 10 touchdowns. Again, Liam Cohen was an innovator in this offense in terms of how he was pushing players and designing plays for certain players. But I think that all things said and done, that we really do need to understand that this is still a team that Baker has control over this offense, Joe. And
Baker loves Mike Evans.
And you can say that Liam Cohen was the guy that made Baker Mayfield. You could say that, but Baker Mayfield has shown signs of being a good quarterback. He was drafted number 1 overall in the year that Josh Allen was drafted as well. So he has the characteristics of a good quarterback, and he has a supporting cast that is good. He has an offensive line that is good. Again, Tristan Wirfs being hurt does hurt the value of Baker Mayfield early on in the season. But I don't see it as being like something that I want to pump the brakes on completely, especially in these big tournaments. In the Eliminator, yes, I'm pumping the brakes a little bit more on that in the Eliminator. But as it sits right now, I think that going after these pass catchers for Tampa is a smart move.
Oh, yeah.
Ted falling again. Nice. Perfect. See, now I thought about taking him over Terry, but then I saw that, the Jane Daniels owner over on the other side probably wanted him too. Now, again, like we've talked about before, I'm not a big Terry McLaurin fan. going into this season. He's already upset about his contract. But catching the falling value of Terry McLaurin by not over investing in quarterbacks early. If he skips camp and he's frustrated and he holds in, fine, whatever, super flex. I'm not taking him too often. But that value, getting him around 8 picks after ADP, if he falls a little bit more, he's going to end up falling back to the Jaden Daniels owner, which gives that Jaden Daniels owner a nice little stack. And that's what we don't want to do with a guy that's already balanced with Jaden Daniels, Christian McCaffrey, and Devin Achane, and George Kittle. And George Kittle could end up as the top tight end on the year, potentially. Trevion Henderson, who'd you go with? You took Shook.
Of course I did.
Right there, though? You didn't have to take him right there.
That's ADP. That is his new ADP.
But what I'm saying is you could have taken Trevion Henderson there and then built Shook in later, because all these two guys on the side here already had 3 quarterbacks.
I'm taking 2.
Bold.
Okay. I'm rounding out my quarterback room. I knew I was taking 2. My plan was this, and this is what's going to be.
This was my plan. Don't deviate from
Other
the
people
plan.
you hate.
I don't hate Shook. I don't think there's anything wrong with Shook, but I think it's
a floor guy. Richardson's a ceiling guy. Collectively, they balance out the room.
I mean, I guess in a way, yeah. Somebody's going to be taking Sammy Laporta soon as well.
Yeah, it's about time for the tight end run.
And I kind of want to start looking at some correlations here with week 15, 16, and 17. Haven't really been truly paying attention to that in a way. But I know Tampa plays Miami. I don't have anything with Tampa, Miami. Henry plays the Packers. Herbert plays the Texans. Perfect. Jamar. We have Terry playing the Cowboys. Tet's playing Seattle. So I got a little bit of that Jacksonville love there too for Indy. I like, we don't talk about, we've talked about this, but we haven't talked about it in a while, Joe, where when we think about correlations, you want to think about your correlations for week 15, 16, and 17. And there's some interesting schedules, and we'll talk about them on Monday. There are some really interesting schedules that set you up to have a good alignment of guys that are decently correlated to one another within week 15, 16, and 17. I'll just give you like a little sniff of that in a way. It's, Carolina plays New Orleans, Tampa, and Seattle. Tampa in week 16, Seattle in week 17. So if you go down here to Seattle, they also play Indy in week 15, which opens up the door to some other interesting builds as well. So, keeping your head on a swivel for stuff like that is always interesting. Ooh, they took Jacoby.
Took my boy.
You massacred my boy. All right, what's going to happen here? Judkins already falling way past the value there. Is what it is.
It is what it is. What are you going to do?
Nah, I'm not taking them. I only have 2 running backs, which is a little bit unusual for me.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But I'm going to queue up a couple of guys that are kind of just dudes in the room.
Yeah, I only have 2 as well, so I'm gonna be changing that. Now, granted, my 2 are studs, but I only have 2.
Yeah, I decided to build out the wide receivers there a little bit more with Terry McLaurin, Tet, Travis Hunter, and Chris Godwin. 2 rookies. A lot of wild cards on this team, Joe. Terry, Tet, Travis Hunter, and Godwin. They can all be guys that push for 20-plus point games. On the other hand, they could fizzle. And I'm willing.
It's a possibility.
I'm willing to
you get some fizzle.
Knowing I have Jamar as my number 1 wide receiver there, I'm fairly confident that 2 of these guys will kind of position themselves, if not 3, will position themselves to, be successful. Russell Wilson's still on the board. There goes Judkins. That's interesting. So he went how many picks after ADP in this? Just, so about 20 picks after ADP. So the ADP has not yet adjusted for him.
And again, Cleveland cannot renege the contract. They have the option not to give him the guaranteed money he wants. However, the league minimum contract for his draft slot position, Cleveland cannot take off the table. So he might not get as much guarantee as he wants, but he will be a Cleveland Brown. And usually Cleveland also showed zero qualms starting Watson. They don't care.
I mean, okay.
They don't.
Fair enough. All right.
I mean, just got to own it for what it is. They don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I took two Washington wide receivers. This guy with Jane Daniels, screw him. I'm so up in the air on the Commanders, Joe. You saw it in our Scott Fishbowl draft that the Commanders are a team for me that, like, I honestly don't know what I want to do with them because their schedule isn't elite by any metric. They're facing a decent collection of good enough defenses towards the back half of the season, minus the Giants. And I don't know, like, they're probably going to be in some decently competitive games, you would assume. But who knows? All right, we're going to take Charbonnet here. And the off chance Walker gets hurt. I've just been adding in a little bit of the mix of Charbonnet. I mean, most people will tell you, like we've said, if you're not taking Ken Walker, build in a little bit of Charbonnet. His value, especially in Superflex, is fine. His value in Best Ball Mania, I'm not willing to put in enough work on him. But I think right now in Superflex, in the 11th round with all the other running backs around this point, I'm willing to take a little bit more chances on him. As a third running back, I'm not happy about that. But if he does play, again, Damian Martinez, they drafted Damian Martinez, and I think Damian Martinez is a good player. We'll see what happens with Sharps, though. Maybe he can also get that work in there. But if Ken Walker plays the whole season, Sharps, I don't think is going to get that much work, to be honest. So we still got a bunch of running backs on the board.
Sorry, a little tight end run there.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't think it's anything crazy, though.
I would have liked Ramondre to come back to me there.
Yeah, it would have been nice. Yeah, it would have been nice. Just got to watch.
But again, when you got two stud running backs to start off, you never was really going to get in the roster anyway.
Yeah, but this guy on the other side of me. No, I'm just saying, just like historically, that deep, like over the last several years, it's let the team down just a bit, but the offense has let them down more. Terrence, how do you feel about the Giants defense? Do you think that it will make them competitive moving forward this season? Because that's kind of the question. Will they continue to be will it continue to make them competitive? Because again, Russell Wilson, he says he's got 4 years left in the tank.
He doesn't.
Most people don't.
He's got 4 minutes left in the tank.
4 minutes left in the tank. But the defense, I mean, it's a much maligned defense in terms of a couple different metrics, right?
The Giants defense needs to have a lead. And one thing Russell Wilson does not give you in the last 3 years is a lead. So it's going to be an uphill battle. I mean, there's no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, they've ranked, and I can't, and here's the thing, Joe. I know you said this about the Giants defense a while ago, and that you also don't think that they're going to be that bad either. But I think it's just, I can't tell if they're their totality of their parts on their defense are bad, or if it's just that they have to play these offenses with these quarterbacks that are so crazy.
Well, their pass rushers should be good, but pass rushers don't work if you don't have a lead. I mean, that's just the reality. If the Giants get a lead, they'll be able to keep it. It's just I don't think they'll be able to get one.
That's a factual statement.
I mean, that's the fear of the entire roster.
Yeah, I mean, you look at just going to team rankings. I mean, they're pretty bottom of the barrel, except for opponents' red zone scoring. It's a decent metric for them, but their offense was terrible. Bottom in almost everything. So the question mark for me is, will Russell and this is a question about the Giants. Whatever quarterback, whether it be Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, or Jameis Winston, will they be on the field as an offense more to give this defense the breaks that it needs to be successful in a pass rushing situation? Like the front line, great. But we've seen this with the Steelers. The Steelers have had, at points in time, a really elite to very good front line, and the back end of that defense let them down, and the offense let them down because they forced them into situations where they had to continue to be on the field. So,
yep.
I question the fact.
Well, they also could stop the run once in their lives if they wanted to. Talk about the Steelers defense.
Yeah, but I question if that is what's going to make them successful or not this year. They're speaking more so of the Giants there than anybody else. Interesting collection of players still left here, Joe.
So I've avoided buys pretty well with the receiving room, but I absolutely failed with the running backs and quarterbacks. That's going to be a problem.
On the buys?
On the buys.
You got CJ Stroud and then CJ Stroud.
And the other two are the buy on the same week.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that happens with those back end guys. But yeah, Terrence, I can't disagree with you that their defensive line is very, 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 very good. But we've seen, like I said, I just gave the example of the Steelers that these teams, they've built their offensive line to kind of play into the strengths of the teams that they've been facing in their division, right? So it's like, hey, we need to stop Saquon Barkley. We need to stop Jalen Hurts. We need to stop Jane Daniels. So let's do that. But now with Dak coming back, CeeDee Lamb there, I mean, they're in like a consistently lose-lose situation because they're in one of the most competitive conferences in football. So I got 20 rounds here. I'm at three.
This is a 20 rounder? Nice.
Yeah. I'm at 3 running backs, which is a problem. Through 20 rounds.
I might actually get 3 tight ends on this roster then.
You are going to get 3 tight ends on this roster.
All right, force me into it.
Force me? Why don't you force me? Why don't you? Huh? All right, say hi. Say hi, everybody. Take that out.
So,
yeah. What you say?
Joe.
It's got. Yeah, go ahead. You go get that, okay? All right. I'm not liking that 2 of my 4 running backs have the same bye week, but that's fine. 3 wide receivers, week 12. Okay. It happens. Pick up a couple tight ends happening here, Joe. I don't know. Do we want to take Thielen or Coker? All right. So we've got 8 wide receivers. We're probably going to end with 10.
We're going to end with 10 receivers? We're going to end with 6.
Probably. I mean, you did take 3 quarterbacks, so, I mean, that's fair. There goes Thielen. Dylan Sampson, smart play there, Joe. Smart play. I thought about Sampson and Braylon Allen here, but that would have given me 3 running backs on a week 9 bye, which I'm not, pounding the paint about that. That's the kind of the problem with Bucky, though. is like that week 9 is a little bit less doors open.
That ain't a problem.
That
I changed
ain't
my mind. Let's have 7 receivers and 2 tight ends.
7 receivers and 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
Get it. What tight end did you take? Oh, you took back.
I got Njoku.
All right, that's fair. All right. So this team is shaping up to be an interesting team here for a super flex. We got Jamar, Derrick Henry, Bucky, Herbert, Bryce Young, McLaurin, Tet, Travis Hunter, Godwin, Debo, Trey Harris, Burden, Likely, and Mason Taylor, Raylan Allen, and Sharps as 3 and 4. It's not like I don't love
This
it.
is standard roster plus a super flex, right?
Yeah. I don't love it necessarily. I would have liked a stronger RB3. When I took Terry, I probably should have taken James Conner. All right, let's see what falls to us here. I do want to take Coker. We're going to pass on Pierce on this draft. So we're at 16. We still have 4 picks left, right? Or no, 3
Yeah, you
picks.
still have 4 left. Yeah.
3 or 4?
4. Everyone has 4 right now.
Okay. All right. So we have 4 left. Take some shots. Again, week 9.
Gotta stop wearing all this week 9 catastrophe you got going here.
Yeah, but I don't want like Derrick Henry and Zach Charbonnet to be the only ones on the roster in week 9. If you catch my drift, I want to have like a little bit of options here.
Options. They're overrated.
I don't want that position to be like a straight ass 0. You know.
You sure?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that, I do think Terrence, when we look at their offense and the way it's set up right now, I do think that if we look at targets, that if they can get off again, their schedule is brutal. Just reading it off here, the Giants' schedule, we have Washington, Dallas, Kansas City, Chargers, New Orleans, Philly, Denver, Philly, San Francisco, Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, New England, Washington, Minnesota, and Vegas. Then they end with Dallas. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot. And that worries me about a guy like Scadaboo, because Scadaboo might not have the time every game to develop. Yeah, to develop into a volume kind of guy. God dang, guy with. Oh, there you are. Go ahead, try it again. Tell everybody what you know. Say hop, hop, hop. Yeah, say hop, little bunnies. Yeah, there you go. What's up, Scorpio? Oh, you took Ollie Gordon. Nice.
I did. I'm at my 3 give it a shot guys right now.
Your 3 give it a shot guys? Is one of them Raheem Mostert?
No, it will not be Raheem Mostert. Schultz was the guy I was debating. Will I let him go?
Okay, that's fair.
Ultimately, I changed this roster for Beck instead of having Schultz on it when I made that decision on my stack back at the Beck pick. But 2 tight ends is enough.
So
3,
Scorpio,
7,
I have Baker at QB, full PPR. Would it be fine to keep him for the season, or should I try and trade? Scorpio, I think Baker's going to be okay. Like I said, the first 4 games, you might have some pains with Wirfs, getting, not playing. But I do think it's worth considering that, if Godwin's there, they drafted Buka, they have McMillan still, they have Mike Evans still, they have a running game. I am absolutely not worried about Liam Cohen leaving, because Baker Mayfield is still there. I mean, you look at it and say, like, these things could really change for coaches, but think about this. Yeah, the scheme's going to change a bit, but Baker was the guy manipulating that offense on the field, right? So if he is still there and he is still good, there is a very good probability that this offense, it might take a step back, but it's not going to take a catastrophic step back to the degree that like this team is now going to be bad. Maybe he has less 300-yard games, but he's still going to throw for touchdowns. This team can still move the ball. They still know how to do that. It's not like they forgot overnight how to do that just because Liam Cohen went away. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, yes, it's going to make a big difference, but these players are still good. It's not like, you know, the Steelers losing, you know, Big Ben and then hiring a new coach and then dealing with Kenny Pickett and then dealing with a new coach and all this other stuff, right? So it's like it's completely different. Liam Cohen's good. The scheme was good, but it worked last year. Why would that coach not want to do similar-ish to almost the same as they did last year, which is utilize the passing game, run the ball with Bucky Irving, get Rachaad White his snaps, and play ball? I don't see I really don't see a pathway in which they're going to be bad. If you do want to trade him, I don't honestly know what you would want to trade for him, if you get what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't really see a trade target within his same kind of wheelhouse that would make sense to make a deal. How about you, Joe? What do you think about that?
No, you're not going to get anything for him. Keep it going.
Yeah, keep it rolling. All right. Do we want to triple down on that? I don't know. This is my last pick, huh? What do I think about that? Tie. All right. So as we finish up this draft here, guys, I'm gonna go over. I know, Joe, you might have to bounce. I'm just gonna. I just before you go, because we'll go out at the same time today. I just want to kind of just get a lay of this land real quick, like 4 or 5 minutes to see how this contest kind of separated itself from the last contest, if it did at all. And anybody in the chat right now, if you have any questions, I know earlier King wanted to see a Best Ball Mania. We're going to do a Best Ball Mania next week. Today we did a rookies and sophomores. You could see that at the beginning of the episode. We also did an eliminator. You could see that in the middle of the episode. We just did one of the German the German Shepherd super flexes that DraftKings just put, or that Underdog just put up, $5 buy-in, $10,000 top prize. So I just want to take a look at your team because I haven't gotten a chance to look at your team yet and just see kind of where you were sitting at versus where I'm sitting at.
See what Stroud did, baby.
Stroud, Shook, Richardson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Hubbard, Tracy. We both kind of leaned into some of those back-end running backs towards the back end.
Because here's the thing is they're lottery picks at that point. I love my receiving room.
2 tight ends.
Again, even if I'm completely wrong on Mike Evans, I have enough depth in it.
Yeah. I haven't built this team before, Justin Herbert with Bryce Young, but I'm absolutely okay with something like this.
You got 2 very good running backs off the jump.
And then my wide receiver room
also got Jamar Chase on the roster. I do not love McMillan as a starter. Travis Hunter even less. So I don't like your receiving room. It's depth at all. I don't like your starters of it.
You don't like Godwin
to be your starter every week, and he has to be the guy again.
You don't like Godwin. This is basically
that's why you got 40 of them.
I have 8 of them. I didn't go after and get 10. This is a 2, 7, 8, 3. But I like this when it's like that. So all right, guys, we will check you out on Monday, 3:45 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing probably a super flex and maybe a Best Ball Mania on Monday.
Make sure you guys click like and subscribe so you get to see us.
See you next week.